Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're having a great day and enjoying with us the PMC. I have the great pleasure of introducing you our next speaker, the awesome Matthew Thompson. He's a retired naval flight officer with 20 years of naval services before finding his calling in civilian world, managing project and sharing project management knowledge. Matthew is a certified PMP and PMI ACP that has consulted for a major utility company, streamline their project management process from initiation through closeout. Currently working for a nuclear maintenance project with a $140 million budget, is slated to complete execution in summer of 2021. Now I'm very happy to ask Matt to join me on stage.
Hi, thanks.
I'm gonna go off the stage. If you need anything, let me know.
You bet. Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate that. So unfortunately, it looks like Cynthia and Taryn, you're going to be my crowd for a little bit. Hopefully we'll get a few more people in here, but it's just going to be us for now. I'm going to share my screen. The good news is we're going to have fun regardless of how many people show up. So you should be able to see my screen now, I think. If you can give me some thumbs up that everybody can see that. Awesome, thank you. So what we're going to talk about today, as you can see up in the upper left-hand corner, I am from the Alamo chapter of PMI. So I am actually from San Antonio, but as Louisa said, I'm currently living in Canada, working on a project management job up here. When I got asked to speak, I was told the theme was powering the project economy. And we're going to have a little bit more discussion about that in a moment. And then we're going to talk about if that's what's really happening. So that's me. That's my fancy picture. I look good there. MBI, PMP, PMI, ACP. But really, this is really me. So tall, dark, handsome. Okay, maybe more like short, sarcastic, but still pretty awesome. Now we'll test the temperature of the room. Pina coladas are okay, and I like getting caught in the rain. If both of you laugh, I know how old you are. If you don't laugh, then we can talk about that song later. Some Billy Joel reference. So obviously there's a couple of fans in the room. Seriously though, I am a 20-year Navy veteran. I started off in the Navy Nuclear Submarine Force. Went and got commissioned at the University of Oklahoma with a chemistry degree because at the time I thought I wanted to brew beer. Then I went back in the Navy, ended up flying jets for about 20 years. Greatest time of my life. Project management is amazing, but it's still a close second to flying off an aircraft carrier. I do have a master's in IT. I have an MBA, so you can see I'm a little bit all over the place. Very well rounded is what I've heard. I am a PMP and an ACP in good standing. Before we talk about you, I just want to talk about a few things that I from notes from other speakers I've wrote down today. We start off with Andrew, who I thought was very engaging. He said to choose your own work. I choose my own work every day, and I think hopefully by now you've already gathered that I am excited and super pumped to be here. I was excited to get the invite. Hopefully I'm going to enjoy, provide some information to you, which kind of leads me to the next. He threw some statistics out earlier. He said that 86% of people that kind of do this, Joel, think they're doing a good job, and 18% don't agree. So I'm going to hope to skew that. Hopefully we get closer to 86% of you think I'm also doing a good job. So my presentation today is going to be very interactive. I don't have, if you went to Dawn's, she had like this cool cell phone polls. I don't have anything fancy. So we're going to be using the chat in the QA section. I answer questions pretty quick, so type them in there if you want. We'll definitely be engaging in some questions in the chat that I will need you to answer. Dawn also said that to be a good project manager, you need to remain distinct so you don't become extinct. Good news is I am pretty distinct. Hopefully you're going to be one of the more memorable lectures you get to have today. I know that I got the good deal like after lunch when the food coma's setting in, so I'll have to work extra hard to get everybody motivated with me, but I think we're going to have a good time. And then if you just watch the panelists, Brian Hogan was awesome. He's got 30 years in wine and spirits as a supply and distributor. I will tell you, because I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations on underage drinking has passed, that I have 30 years in wine and spirits, more on the consumer side, if you know what I mean. Give me a laugh if you think that's funny. So that's kind of caught up from the day. So far, I think it's been a really good day. So no, hopefully we can add to some of that. So first of all, how many of you are PMI members? Just throw a yes or a Y or whatever you want, something cool in the chat. I probably should ask that question a different way. Is there anybody that's not? Ramona, why not? I won't. Everybody, that's a fair reason. I'm okay with that. You know, I definitely think for me, it's a great chapter. Like I've really enjoyed being in a part of PMI, and also I have a local chapter. So you know, for both of those, it's great networking events. Lots of really good friends and colleagues that I work with. So I think it's awesome. So are most of you from the South Florida chapter? I assume. Who? Let me ask the other way. Who's not from the South Florida chapter? For those of you looking, that is a monster. That's so I can keep my energy level high. Just kidding. My energy level is always high. That's actually Monster Rehab with lemonade and tea, which is like an Arnold Palmer. So good. So how many PMPs do we have? Cool. How many ACPs do we have? Do we have any like agile purists? Like people that are just pure agile? The reason I ask is I'm probably going to step on their toes and hurt their feelings a little bit later, so I just want to prep them a little bit. Anybody that's a CAPM? Cool. Any other certifications that are out there? SAFe, Lean Six Sigma, anything that's crazy or fun? Lean, yeah, I like Lean a lot, actually. I think there's a lot of really good stuff there. Green Belt, nice. Scrum certified. Yeah, I was a Scrum Master for a while, and then I didn't really find any good IT jobs I liked, so I quit being a Scrum Master. But I still had an ACP. I still like some agile principles. Cool. All right. Is there anything else I need to know from this fun crowd? Any like one thing that you should throw in the column that I don't know yet that's going to make this class go better? Come on, somebody's got to have something funny. American Petroleum Institute. That's cool. Go Army, beat Navy. Careful, Steve. Careful. That game's going to be played at Army this year. I don't know if you know that. That's a unique COVID thing that's changing. So that game is always kind of played in Philly or in, Philly for most of the time, sometimes in Baltimore. But yeah, it's going to be played at Army this year. Totally weird. All right, enough chit chat. Let's have some fun. So when I got asked to speak, as I kind of hinted at earlier, the theme of this conference is powering the project economy. And I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't have any idea what that even meant. So how many of you didn't know what that meant when you first saw it? Yeah, I still see some question marks, like some of you maybe still don't know. That's great. That's a great place to be. So what we're going to do, so we could do it the easy way and figure it out. We just go retrieve the definition from PMI.org. Honestly, that's what I did, so I could help prepare for this. But that's not the way that I want to do it today. We're going to try to do it a thoughtful way. We're going to try to break it up into some parts. We're going to look at the words and kind of define them individually, kind of see how we feel about them, assess the relationship to project management, and then we're going to put it all back together, and then we're going to see how close it is to the PMI definition. I think you're going to be pretty surprised, actually, because I certainly was. And then the real question is, do we feel that the project management is powering the project economy? That's what we're going to try to get to. So this is kind of our agenda. We'll have some case studies, we'll have some examples, and we'll talk about some things. And then I will hopefully drop what Matt thinks is an opinion truth bomb about where project management kind of fits in. So let's have some school time. We'll go to lesson 1. As I said, we're going to kind of break up the words and kind of define them. On the left, the way that I did this is I just used Merriam-Webster's dictionary to kind of define the words. And then we're going to see what kind of definition we get out of that. So first of all, the easy way to do this is when I say the word power, like what comes to mind, throw some things in the chat and I'll read them out for everybody. Strong, I like it. Control, authority, command. These are all good things. I like it. high authority, in control, enabled. I like enabled, that's good. I realize some people type slower than others, so I won't rush you. We have plenty of time. I talk way fast, so we'll be plenty good on time. Anyway, so when I Googled it myself, because I have an old paper dictionary at home, but it's just faster these days to Google everything. So I used the Merriam-Webster dictionary online and Google power. The first definition that comes up is the ability to act or produce an effect. I'm not going to lie to you, that was not the first definition I expected to see when I looked up power. But I'll read it again. The ability to act or produce an effect. Possession of control, authority, or influence over others. Also a pretty good definition, I think, especially when I'm thinking about these like in a project management mindset. I think these definitions kind of fit pretty well. One having such power. So the question is it easy or hard to see how these might apply to project management? Steve thinks it's kind of easy. It is pretty easy, right? I think they almost fit a little better. So, in the spirit of transparency, because I'm all about being honest, there were 5 definitions. Definition 4 and 5 were wordy and didn't fit my point very well, so I just left them off. But, the first 3 were kind of home runs. I mean, I didn't really stretch far from the truth to try to make it work. So how do you think this is going to apply to us? Do you think we're going to be able to use one of these 3 definitions to power the project economy? I don't really see anything about economy in here yet, or words. It's Friday. I can't type or spell. So, Christy, that's okay because I can't spell or type on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So the fact that it's Friday makes 0 difference, but I appreciate your honesty. And tomorrow's also Halloween, so I'm excited about that as well. How about project? What are some definitions? When I say project, what does that mean to you? Start and stop, okay? Goal. Triple constraints. Team. Work effort with beginning and finite ending. And outcome. I like outcome. That's good. Yeah, these are all good things. Solving a problem. Oh, I like that a lot, George. Yeah, nice. Deliverables. So if you kind of really think about it, all of you guys' answers, which understandably makes sense, are all kind of, project manager kind of answers, right? Are there any projects that don't fit in that role? Getting stuff done. I actually like that a lot. I'm a simple man, and project management is all about getting stuff done. Louisa said, making the sponsor happy. I don't necessarily agree with that one, by the way, because I don't think a project is about making the sponsor happy. I think if you do good scope development, you should make the sponsor happy, but that may or may not happen. That's just Matt's opinion. But anyway, going back to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, we get a specific plan or design. Again, first definition, pulled straight out, didn't do anything crazy, just pure luck. A planned undertaking. To plan, figure, or estimate the future. To attribute one's own ideas, feelings, or characteristics to other people or to objects. That's a little scary, right? Like how far those kind of line up with all the things that we've said. Outcomes, deliverables, solving problems, getting things done, making the sponsor happy. Like those are 4 definitions that I think fit pretty well. Does anyone think those don't fit well, or one that kind of stands out to you? So one of the things that the large disadvantages of being like in a virtual kind of conference and presentation is, one, I don't get to be in Miami. As I mentioned, I'm in Canada and I'm looking out the window and it's currently snowing, while I'm sure it's probably 80 degrees in Miami. What's the temperature in Florida right now? Somebody tell me quick. 88 degrees. It's actually not freezing. Like it's not like cold, but it's not 88. 84. That's amazing. Like I said, I'm from San Antonio, so I'm definitely used to it being like 80s. So, I could use a little sun, but it is crazy to see it snowing. As I was talking about, we're talking about some project definitions. I think they still kind of all fit well, right? I'm still pretty happy with these kind of definitions. And if you recall, we've kind of figured out what power was, and now we've put project. So what do you think the next word we need to do is? Well, first of all, do we think these all apply to project management? Number 4 aligns with the ability to influence stakeholders. I totally agree with that. That's a great point. Heading to the yacht show. Man, you guys are having a great life. Yeah, so do we feel that these 4 definitions apply to project management? Yeah, Connie thinks so. So the other part that's super relevant, I think, one of the other challenges of virtual, like since you are all muted and I don't get to see any of you, like I can't tell if you're appreciating how awesome I am or not. So somebody's going to put an LOL in there again. I guarantee it's going to happen. But yeah. And then do these kind of, Louisa laughed at him. She's the one that introduced me and said how awesome I was. She stole awesome from me, by the way. So how does this apply to us? Well, I think it applies because, we're trying to figure out the definition of how we're going to project the power economy, what that means. I still don't think we've really determined what that actually means. So I think we need to finish it up with economy. So when we think of economy, somebody give me some definitions that they think. By the way, before people start typing, when I think of economy, I just think of straight money, just coin. We're going to find out that it's a little broader than that. So Taryn's already with me. She's like, money. Transactions. I like transactions. That's good. Value back to the original organization, probably margin. Financial growth. Resources. I like resources. System. All right, cool. Let's have a look. So thrifty and efficient use of material resources, frugality of expenditures. Who would have guessed that that was one of the first definitions in economy? I will tell you, I did not see that coming. The thrifty and efficient use of material resources, frugality of expenditures. I mean, it makes sense. Efficient and concise use of non-material resources, such as effort, language, or motion. Also a pretty good one, I think. Again, the first 2 definitions don't actually talk about money, which, totally threw me for a loop. The arrangement or mode of operation of something. Pretty vague, I think. This one's a little strange, but it still works. A system, especially of interaction and exchange. So money is one resource. That's a great point. I don't think of money as a resource. I think of people as resources. I'm a project manager, but I suppose that money is a resource. So as you can see, the 4th definitions that I came up with in the dictionary, most of them don't actually talk about money. But can we see how they might apply to project management? Are there any definitions up there that surprise people or that you didn't expect to see? They do all apply to project management. I do agree with that. Scaling operational efficiencies. Number 3, everybody says, yeah, the arrangement or mode of operation of something. Yeah, that one was definitely surprising to me. So we've kind of already talked about how they all apply to project management far better than, I could have hoped when I was putting this presentation together. I was just winging it, throwing some definitions down, trying to figure out how I was going to make this work. And it just kind of laid out beautifully. Sometimes you get lucky. And so that's going to apply to us. Remember that this is kind of our 3rd word of powering the project economy. That's what we're trying to figure out. So now we're going to mash them all together. So if we were to take one key definition from each of the 3 words, which is what I did, we get the ability to act or produce an effect to a planned undertaking with the concise and efficient use of material and non-material resources. Does that sound like project management? Yeah, it does. I mean, it's super wordy because I mashed 3 long definitions together, but I definitely think it's like a home run, right? Like, so, when PMI throws this cool thing of powering the project economy, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. Well, if you take the definitions of those words, we can figure out what it means. It actually fits really, really well, I think, like shockingly more than I anticipated. So, do we think this makes good sense? Does this give us a better understanding of what powering the project economy might mean? Yeah, it is a little cool, Christy, right? Like, it's a little surprising, huh? So now let's take a look and do it the easy way and see what PMI said it means. They actually made it wordier. So it's the project economy is one in which people have the skills and capabilities they need to turn ideas into realities. It is where organizations deliver value to stakeholders through successful completion of projects, delivery of products, and alignment to value streams. And of all these initiatives deliver financial and societal, that's a hard word to say, value. So let's go back, read our definition again. We'll give everybody a second to do it. There it is. PMI defined the powering the project economy. It's crazy, right? You're like, okay, great, Matt. So we went through that exercise. We spent 20 minutes doing that, but why do we care? Oh, we're missing value in the shorter definition. That's possible. That's a good point. $1,000 per word. Yours is easier. Mine is, that's fair. So if I was charging, I should make it longer, Christy. Is that what you're saying? That's a good idea. I have to make more money. But how does it all fit together? So the question that we're trying to answer now is, does project management power the project economy? Let's everybody ponder that for a bit. If you have an opinion on yes, no, why it does, why it doesn't, please put that in the chat log, and I will have a look and I'll kind of think about them. But now that we've defined what powering the project economy means, do we feel that project management powers that project economy? Any thoughts, any opinions? We run it, okay. Any other thoughts? Christy says, yes, it does. I'm just going to go with it. Absolutely, it does. 100%. More so, and now going forward. Ooh, Ramona, we might have to chat. This could be the mission statement of the PMCOE I am lifting for. Cool. Well, steal away. I mean, none of this is proprietary. Just make sure that you give Merriam-Webster some credit. That's what I did. Oh, I got to go back over to my screen. Apologies. So now we're going to go to school time lesson number 2. So we're going to look at the business organization. We're going to talk about what I think are some potential shifting models, and then we're going to have some discussion. Is everybody okay with lesson 2? Ready for the second day of class? Cool. So project management history, in parentheses, very brief. So once upon a time, a long time ago, people started doing projects. The end. PMI was founded in 1969. The PMBOK version 1 was in 1996. We're currently on PMBOK version 6. The committee putting together PMBOK version 7 is currently in progress right now. I expect to see it in about 18 months probably. Scrum came around in 1993. The Agile Manifesto came out in 2001. Bang, we're at today. So that's kind of project management history in a nutshell. So the question is, and the question that I will pose to you, and then I will give you my opinion because it's going to stir up some people. How much has project management changed from once upon a time till today? Pretty well. More complexity. Any other opinions on how much project management has changed? Added Scrum and Agile. More iterative and adaptive than predictable. Change the tools. Now, Steve, that is one of the few that I agree with. I honestly believe that if we're being objective and really looking at things, project management hasn't changed significantly over the last 20 years. Just hasn't. We have some sort of idea that becomes some sort of scope, that becomes some sort of execution or work, that becomes some sort of result, product, or service at the end. I mean, it really hasn't changed. By the same token, the reason that it hasn't changed is because it works, and it's what you have to do, right? So if you're trying to translate an idea into a product, service, or result, it works. So what's changed? For my Agile purists in the room, I believe, I'm an ACP, I've done a lot of Agile, I've been a Scrum Master. I believe that Agile is just predictable in small chunks. You know what I mean? So we take the budget and we don't know what the scope is. So we want to make it able to be changed quickly. But if you really think about it, if you think about each kind of Scrum event, you still have some planning, still figure out some scope, you still have some lessons learned to review, you still control it, and then you look at the end. You're just doing it in a really small, narrow time frame, and you're just doing it over and over and over again. So I think the future of project management resides in the hybrid world. So it's going to take kind of, the best parts of predictable, the best parts of agile, and mash them together. The example that I like to talk about is, like a cell phone. There's probably a good chunk of the software and parts of that require agile, and agile works best for. And then there's the hardware side, which probably predictable works best for. That's why I believe everything's going to end up in a hybrid world. So everybody kind of think that's true. Anybody disagree? Any other thoughts? Everybody's scared now, intimidated. Maria thinks it's true from her perspective. Steve thinks it should be that way. Cool. So that's what we did. I didn't change the slides. Apologies. We just gave my 2 cents. I don't think much has changed. So now let's talk about how powering the project management, project management is powering the project economy. Let's talk about if that's changed. So view 1, this is kind of where I think the first change kind of happens. Where do projects fit? Originally in the typical matrix organization, they were probably under a department director or manager, possibly under multiple departments. I think traditionally there weren't a lot of first line groups, for example. This is the Seattle Department of Transportation organization chart. I used to live in Northwest Washington for a long time. So in 2018, you can see that under the Deputy Director, Michael Terrell, there were kind of some different areas of projects and capital projects. Does everybody kind of see that? Now, if we look at 2020, now they have full 2 deputy directors that are all responsible for projects. And then they have a transformation project manager. So in 2018, it looks like that there is significant project management roles. There's only like a couple. You know what I mean? In 2020, they've reorged to 2 full departments of projects. Capital project delivery and project and right-of-way coordination, and then they still have a transformation project manager. So in a 2-year slide, they've completely reorged to project management being key up on the kind of executive level kind of status. Does that kind of make sense, everybody? Is everybody seeing that project management is kind of growing from, originally down in this bottom corner of the portfolio that occasionally when we need to build a few things, like that's where project management was. I think that project management has grown and getting more and more relevant throughout the organization due to the value that it's being received. Does that kind of make sense? So that's view number 1. Anybody see that in the organization that you work or that you've worked with, that project management has gone further up the food chain than maybe it originally was? Yeah, so I think that it's less about projects. So one of the comments was about projects not delivering the value that they were supposed to. I think it's less about project management. I think that, project management over time has proven capable of delivering value and getting return on investment, and that's growing and being noticed by executives in senior positions. So the return on investment on project management is high. By the same token, if project management is done poorly, like that organization is probably going to value project management less. But I think with the number of tools, certifications, and improvements in project management, I think project managers are getting better and they're getting recognized for doing better work. And then that is growing into more leadership positions and growing further up into value streams inside the organization. Does that make sense? Is everybody seeing that happening? Anyone not seeing that happening? So that's one way that I think that project management is changing. So now we'll talk about view number 2. Let's see. For me, it has been more than project management skills must be applied at higher levels of the organization. Oh, that's such a great point. So I'm going to flip that question on you. So at what level of the organization should project management skills not be used? We just said that projects were taking an idea and converting them to a product, service, or result. So I will pose the question, at what level of the organization should project management skills not be used? I would say none. I mean, I think the executives are going to form strategy. They may not be doing the work, but they're going to take strategy and they're going to want to become, isn't it a business project? Isn't a business a project? I think businesses are 100% a project, pretty much everything that you do. That leads me to kind of view number 2. Let's talk about view number 2. So now we're going to talk about how businesses might look at project management differently than they did in the past. We're going to play a little game of who am I? I'm not going to lie. Most of the information is stolen from their website, but I kind of picked and choose what I wanted to keep it vague, so you might not be able to guess till the end. So we're going to try to guess. Type your guesses into the column as soon as you get them in the chat, and we'll see who figures it out. I apply process controls, workflows, and best practices. Again, I said I kept them kind of vague, but these are all from the website of the company that it is. I get orders underway quickly, decrease costs, and reduce risks. I give insights from robust reporting, control maverick spending. I give automated real-time visibility of order status. Any guesses yet? Amazon is a good guess, but it's not the right one. I treat every computer I build for a customer like its own individual project. This one might give it away. Yep, that's it. Dell. Dell is your home run. So Dell has taken the position and looked at every computer they build and deliver as a project, from the initiation phase. So when somebody places an order, what that order is going to entail, to the scope. Hey, what components is it going to have? What's it going to look like? Their entire assembly line is a project all the way until delivery. So Dell has adopted a mindset that every job they do is a project. That's a very different way from thinking about the way computers used to be built. Like if you think about IBM from 20 years ago, where they're just banging them out as fast as they can with no care for what the consumer is going to buy, like that was operational. That wasn't project oriented. Does everyone see that? Dell has kind of always done it this way, but that's what's made Dell separate from everyone else. Did that answer your question, Lane? Did I say that right, by the way? So Dell has always done it this way. They've always had a projectized kind of mindset towards individual. So now if you start looking, like if we're being honest, because that's kind of my thing, if you start looking at their server farms and the way they're building other things, they're not doing this as much, but individual consumer computer sales, still 100% projectized from order to delivery. Now, granted, they have some that are less customizable than others, but still there's from initiation to delivery project. Does that make sense, everybody? Does everybody kind of see where I'm going with that? For me, I believe that in business, that's a very different way of looking at delivery. Like, that's not kind of 20 years ago, you would never see this. Well, Dell maybe 20 years ago, but so let's play the second kind of round of who am I? Everybody ready? I start with the customer and work backwards. I don't sacrifice long-term value for short-term results. I act on behalf of the entire company beyond just my own team. I create and communicate a bold direction that inspires results. I think differently and look around corners for ways to serve customers. Decisions and actions are reversible and do not need extensive study. I value calculated risk-taking. I operate at all levels, stay connected to the details, audit frequently, and are skeptical when metrics and anecdote differ. I focus on the key inputs for their business and deliver them with the right quality in a timely fashion. So there are a couple people that have got this. This is Amazon. This is how they do business. So if you start with the customer and work backwards, what does that sound like in the project management world? Work breakdown structure, but even before that, Steve, like what's the first part of a project? The voice of the customer, which kind of turns into what, Cynthia? Scope, right? That's probably going to give our scope development. It's going to give us our business case. We'll figure out the requirements. Like that's where project management starts, right? I don't sacrifice long-term value for short-term results. So basically you're looking over the life of the project. That's very much a project management thing, right? So during project management, you're probably not, making decisions short-term that are going to ultimately hurt the project later. Decisions and actions are reversible and do not need extensive study. I take value calculated risk taking. So, there are risks in projects. Decisions have to be made. Like this is all kind of project management stuff that they've turned into a whole bunch of words. And this is kind of the Amazon mantra. Sorry, I guess there was one more. I apologize. I deliver products to consumers, treating every delivery as a project. But if you think about that, that is how Amazon does business. Like they, take whatever you put in your cart, probably while people are ordering, literally while I'm talking right now, one of you is ordering something from Amazon. I don't know who it is, but one of you is. And it's going to be delivered, through their project management process as a project tomorrow. If you're in the States, in Florida, probably. I don't get things daily. I have to wait a couple of days up here in Canada. But overall, like each one of those items is a project. So everybody kind of see that? Sunday by 9. Thanks, Steve. What did you order, by the way? Anything good? You ordered some monsters, didn't you? Monster Rehab? Tell me it's good. People still ordering like Halloween costumes. Can we see the previous slide? Of course you can. So if you go to the Amazon website, go down to the bottom where it says About Us. There's actually 12 of these. This is the first 7. And I just kind of cut out some words so you wouldn't know that it was Amazon. Let me know when you're done. Boom, I like it. Any other questions or thoughts about this? Do people think I'm off the mark, that there aren't businesses shifting towards what I can call a projectized mindset of doing business? Do people see this? Do you think I'm taking crazy pills, or does it really kind of work in this way? So how does it all fit together revisited? So the question that we've been trying to answer is, does project management power the project economy? Yes or no? What do we think? Christy says it does. Steve says it does. So pretty much everybody says it does. Has your opinion changed over the last half hour in any way? Evolved and opened more, Steve. That's probably where I'm going. I like it. Everyone agrees with you, Steve. Nice. Nobody agrees with me, but everybody agrees with you. So that's cool. Steve is winning. All right. So here's my opinion, folks. I think project management is powering the business economy. So mic drop, right? So I think that back in the old days, as I said 20 years ago, project management was this little tiny itty bitty part of the org chart way down in the corner that was a small part of the portfolio. But now, if we go back to that, Washington State, it's growing into all levels of organizations. And I think that as organizations get better, especially COVID's a great example. So we've had to pivot and find other ways to manage that. Project management is growing, into all levels of all businesses. And I think for businesses to remain successful, they're going to have to adopt and adapt to project management principles. Now, does that mean that everything has to be handled like a project? No. But I think if you're being honest about everything that's encompassed in project management. So risks, value, resource management, communications, leadership, those are all, found in the project management world. And all of those different individual pieces all have a place at different levels and in all levels of business. What do you think? Good, right? Surprising? So I think that PMI is kind of underselling it. Yeah, project management is powering the project economy, sure, but I think it's powering the whole business economy. Like there are parts of, like everywhere that you look in the organization that you work in, I guarantee you see influences from project management. It's a fact. So project management is no longer about the small corner, as I talked about. It's everywhere. Risk analysis. How many of you go to a meeting and have an agenda, and then at the end of that meeting have feedback on how the meeting went? I guarantee there's about half of you that don't still, because there's a lot of organizations that don't run good meetings. But those of you that have good meetings, how many of you have an agenda and then you have feedback on that meeting? So a fair amount of you do. So if you think about that, what does that really mean? That means that you are treating that meeting as a project, right? You know when it's starting, you know what you're going to talk about, you have a plan, you talk about things, you execute it, and then you have some level of monitoring, controlling throughout, and then you close it, right? Isn't it a project? Does it not fit the PMI definition of a project perfectly? I mean, I guarantee you that if you said, hey, let's go have the meeting project, people are like, what are you talking about? It doesn't make sense, but it is, right? You're going to get some product, service, or result. If you're doing it right, you're probably going in with an agenda and a plan. You're probably going to make some notes before that meeting that you should talk about and be ready to talk about. Every meeting is a project. How about when they're sitting up there and they're deciding, what strategies in business to adopt? They're all making risk-based decisions. Those are all project management. They're found in project management. It's crazy, right? Project management is either encompassing all of those things or getting their fingers into all of it, depending upon which way you look at it, I suppose. So, I think, originally project management has encompassed all of those items, and that's what became project management. But now it's growing back out into all the other parts of the organization. That's what Matt thinks. What do you think? Good, bad? Am I talking crazy? Is that what you're seeing? So now my final conclusion is, I think you're only going to see that more. Like as organizations grow, as more levels of bureaucracy happens, as more organizations start to value project management and realize the return on investment they're getting, the more and more you're going to see like a full department of project management. You're going to see the executive vice president of project management. Like, that's going to move up into the C-suite level. There's going to be a role for that. There's going to be finance. There's going to be, legal, HR, and project management. You're going to see it. I think it's going to continue to drive businesses. It's crazy, right? So that kind of leads us to our kind of last lesson of the day. Any other thoughts, questions for me, jokes, questions, anything that anybody wants to talk about? Have I been the best so far? Am I at least awesome? 18% of you don't think I'm very good. I get it. Sliced bread. What does it mean for you and how should you evolve? I think that's a great question. So I think it depends, right? So for me, I love project management, and I think that project management is amazing. Like if you have been unable to gather that I am passionate about project management, I apologize, because I am, because I love project management, like I really do. So I think the key for me, so I think it kind of goes back to what Michael was talking about earlier, to recognize what's happening and also your blind spots. So I think there's probably still some executives that have blind spots to the value of project management. And I think there's also like some groups that see that it is growing. So I think the opportunities, you have to take advantage of opportunities where you see project management growing in your organization and be in the front of the line to say, hey, I love it. I can teach you more. This is where I want it to go. So, so to answer your point, what's in it for you? It depends upon who you are. If you're a project manager like myself, Like when you see that happening in your organization, so it's either happening right now or it's going to happen in 5 years or less. I guarantee, well, I can't guarantee, but I'm pretty confident that you should take advantage of that. Say, hey, I want to be on the front lines of making this organization love and incorporate project management in everything that it does. So that should be you. If you're a person that thinks that project management is not going down that road, then this presentation honestly probably doesn't have a lot for you. Because again, I love project management, and I do think that it is like, it's going to be everywhere. It's going to be, you know, someday some of you could be the executive vice president of project management, and that would be awesome, because I do believe it's going to happen. Did that answer your question, Violene? Dina or Deanna, I'm not sure which way it is, says she treats everything in her life as a project manager. I think once you're a project manager, everybody does. When you get up, when you put your clothes together, you go drive to work, you know, everything becomes a project. Like you always think that way. It's just the way that once your project management brain starts working that way, it's always that way, right? Like you don't just like all you do is like transition it to work type topics. You know, hey, what am I making for dinner? That's probably a project. Hey, I'm going to go to the grocery store. That just became a project. Like I planned it. I know what's happening. I know what I'm going to buy. I put a list together. I'm a complete loser, but that's it. That's my life. I love project management. Projects are everywhere, Taryn. I mean, I'm sorry you can't unthink it, but it's the facts. It is a mindset, 100%. Like, and once you found out that it's yours, like for me, raising kids is definitely a project. The problem, well, the problem is, so here's why I don't necessarily agree that raising kids is a project, Christy, because theoretically, at least according to PMI, there is some finite time when that's supposed to end. And I have 2 kids and it hasn't ended yet. So I have one in college, I have one like in middle school, and the date had like, I'm waiting for the end when it's raising them is over. That hasn't happened yet. So so I like teaching PMP boot camps a lot. And one of the things that, you know, people always talk about is, so when we think about a project, we always think about it being finite, right? So it has a start and a finish, but PMI doesn't tell you how long that is. Like, does that mean a couple of weeks, couple of years? Like, so agreed, raising kids is technically a project because it's supposed to end, but man, I wish I knew when that date was going to be because I don't know yet. So what else do we got? Lots of good comments. Oh, so projects are not always successful, Terry. That's a great point. So you know, here's some food for thought for Violene. So what do you do when the project's not successful? Because has anyone had a project that's not been successful? Oh, not the kids being successful. That's fine too. Lessons learned. So you should take lessons learned regardless, right? So, you know, I would argue that if you're taking lessons learned on good and bad projects, because lots of people, I think, focus on only taking lessons learned when things go poorly. I think you should take lessons learned all the time, especially when you did something good. You should definitely write that down and do that again. So I think that sometimes trying to figure out why the project wasn't successful. And then it's very easy, like when a project isn't successful, to kind of point fingers. The scope wasn't well defined. I didn't figure out what the customer wanted. They changed their mind. I don't know if I told you before, I'm a project manager. So those are all excuses. So if the customer wasn't happy, it's because I did a poor job figuring out what the scope and what the requirements are. That's the way that I look at it. So, you know, if the project failed, that's probably my fault, unless there was some, you know, issues with money or some risks that I couldn't manage. So, you know, I think food for thought is, you know, I'm a very accountable person. I think that comes from 20 years in the Navy. We like individual accountability was high all the time. We always relied on each other, and you had to take care of your business, and everybody was counting on you to do it. So, you know, my food for thought is if a project fails, you know, start with yourself, hold yourself accountable, and try not to point fingers and try to figure out what went wrong or what you missed that allowed that to fail. What other questions we got? I think we have about 10 minutes left to kind of Q&A before Louise is going to yell at me and tell me we're done. Responsible for everything, expert in nothing. I'm an expert in being awesome. Does that count? At least I think I am. How do you see the best structure since you used the Seattle example? I don't think there is a best structure. I think the best structure. I think that I guess my answer to that question is that I feel it's important to make sure, however the organization is structured. Yes, Taryn, I am modest. I'm just joking. I'm not that awesome, but I am pretty confident. I do think that, back to your question, Steve, I think the structure doesn't matter. I think what matters is making sure the organization understands the value of project management. So the question is, how do you do that? So I know you guys all like writing books down. I have a whole list of books. I read books all the time. But I'll tell you one right now that will kind of explain how I think you build faith in project management. It's called The Speed of Trust. It's a great book, but the way that you make an organization value project management is you do a good job, right? I mean, so let's say you are given a project, they're not sure they like project management, and you go in and crush it, and like the value is high, the return on investment's good. People are like, man, that was awesome. Like, what made that so awesome? Well, project management made that awesome. Can you do it again? I can absolutely do it again. Can other project managers? They can absolutely do it. So that's how, organizations over time learn to value those things. Right now, so a year ago, would have you said that 80% of the businesses in the U.S. would be happy with work from home environments? I would say the answer was no. But why are we there now? Why do most organizations think that it's working great? Because we are inherently good at still doing our job, even from home. So, I think that, one of the largest hurdles of people working from home is a lack of trust, right? So leaders were not convinced, for whatever reason, that their people would be capable of working at home and still do their job. That's a fact. What we've proven, kind of, if you've paid attention to the panel, kind of the other way, is that we've proven that people are too good at working at home. Now you've lost commute time and they're working too much and they're sitting by the computer waiting for the email to ping. Like, it's kind of gone full swing the other way where we're too good at it. Like, we need to find that happy balance. I personally like going to the office because I love interacting with people. Like, I really do. Like, I wish that I could see all of your faces. I wish we were in the same room. I get it. We can't be. But, so for me, I think a balance, right? That's the other great advantage that I had working in the Navy, is that people trusted you to do your job, whether you were at work or not. And if it was, hey, I got things to do, I'm going to get my job done, I'll see you tomorrow. Like, that was that. And nobody questioned it. So I think that, one of the disadvantages in American businesses to working from home is a lack of trust. But if you build trust in your employees and you build trust in project management, it's going to filter into the organization regardless of what that structure looks like. I know that was a super long answer to your question, Steve, but hopefully that answered it. Other questions? It is all about trust. I really believe that. And trust is the only way to do it, is to build it, and it takes time. What else we got? So I told you before that I was a project manager. So what did I miss? What do I need to do better? When I make this presentation next time, what do I got to add in? I don't know if I'll make this presentation again, but I enjoyed making it. It was fun. I learned a lot. Beer and pizza. Oh, I would do agree that beer and pizza would be nice. I told you that I'm a wine and spirits consumer for 30 years, so I would love that. And it is pizza night, so I'll have pizza too. Oh, Steve, I think it's a great point. So, I think so lots of times. So I do a lot of consulting, and one thing that, like, mostly kind of in public utilities. Like I said, I'm working on a nuclear job right now. One thing that I see that happens often in business, like those, is that they will take like an engineer or project engineer, and then they'll make them a project manager. And I think it's, for the most part, I'm not saying that it's always true, but for the most part, it's always a mistake, because engineers struggle not to be engineers. Like they want to get in the weeds. They have a hard time, as you said, speaking to executives, and they get in the details. I think it's often easier to have a project manager that is not an engineering nerd. Like this job right now, there's some very technical things that, to be honest, I don't understand. But I can talk to executives all day and twice on Sunday, and I can make decisions, and I don't have to get in the weeds. As it turns out, I have a team of about 9 amazingly smart people that can get in the weeds for me. And then I have to be able to ask them intelligent questions like, hey, this sounds like it's getting in the weeds. I need you to tell me what you think is the best approach. And then you need to tell me which one we should pick and why not. And then I will make a decision. So for my team, that works really, really well. But I think, it's very easy. I think talking to executives takes practice. Like it's hard to do. Like your first time, everyone is going to go in the weeds too much because they haven't put themselves in an executive's shoes trying to figure out what they really get to and what they need to talk about, what they want to hear. So hopefully that's, something that you can take away. $1,000 a word comes from, yeah. I need to get paid for this, I think. Oh yeah. I can talk about talking to executives next. Yeah, I'll talk about anything. I don't keep it short and simple. Well, when I'm talking to executives, I'll keep it short and simple. But as you can tell, I like to talk. 4 minutes remaining, 4 minutes of awesome time. Well, then class is dismissed. School's out. Hopefully you all learned something today. I'll hang out as long as you guys want. Thanks. I love project management, so I always have great energy when I talk about it. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you coming. Hopefully you had fun. I do have LinkedIn, so reach out to me. We can be friends. I like friends. I guess I'll stop sharing and then wait for Louisa to tell me what we're going to do next.
So, wow, what a great presentation. Awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I have to agree with Douglas that he said you really set gold standards for interactive presentation. It was very good. And I think everyone loved it. So as soon as I stop the presentation, everybody's going to go back to the floor, and we are going to start the new session at 3:25 instead of 3:15 that we were previously scheduled for 3:15. And the next session now is going to start at 3:25. Okay. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. It was great. I think you can see on chat that everybody loved it.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, take the time to interact, to network. You're going to be on the tables. When you turn your camera on and your mic on, you can talk to the people on your table. If you have any questions, we have a help desk that you can ask anything, and you can move through the rooms as you can see it. I hope you're having a great day and enjoying your PMC.